So this is the BabyAngelGeronimo editions of the Khoodeelaar television channel, part 1. Timed at 0150 GMT, UK on Monday the 7th of November 2022. This date is the second day since, the second day of the COP27 climate change so-called summit being held in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. And one of the main themes is the reparations or the compensation by the richer countries to the poorer countries. And Bangladesh has been touting itself as one of the most vulnerable and most poverty-stricken countries, unable to fund the various measures that need to be taken in order to deal with the climate change. Bangladesh is not the only one. There are other countries as well on the list. But as I did the initial program in 1991, advising the Bangladesh government to do a number of things to deal with and minimize the damages and losses and the impact of water-related disasters that affect Bangladesh regularly. I can update this by asking the question, to what extent can observers, objective neutral observers, not anyone necessarily attending the Sharm el-Sheikh climate change 7 this week, but objective, evidential, fact-seeking, fact-based observers can actually trust the regime in Bangladesh to behave honestly, justly, and do the right thing and not abuse the funds. Because that is the biggest threat posed internally by the Bangladesh government, the Bangladesh state, to any action being taken by actually putting the money into good use. That's number one. Number two is there should be objective international observers placed permanently in Bangladesh for the whole year until the next COP happens, monitoring the entirety of the program that the Bangladesh government claims to have been implementing and accounting, adding up the costs, expenses, and most importantly, testing the safety of the infrastructure that is, if any, is put in place. And then thirdly, there should be a transparent regime providing public transparency throughout the year of how much of that money that is coming to this country from rich countries, etc., is actually being used for creating sustainable structure and infrastructure and logistics within the country, rather than diverting a single penny to the abuse and exploitation of the government and their corrupt branches. These are the 3 points that I would say should be put in place immediately in Bangladesh. And by extrapolation, I think this should be applied to all the other countries, whichever other countries are actually given the money and are claiming to be engaged in using the money for the purpose of dealing with climate change and not abusing the money for any of it for the use or abuse of the regime in control in place. As for the Fleet Street newspapers, especially calling the opposition member of parliament Ed Miliband, Ed, it is grotesquely offensive. His statement about the UK paying proper amount of the contribution is not only not anything to be undermined, but something that is totally laudable and is part of the genuine sustainability kind of future. So Ed Miliband deserves the support and the backing from our movement, and we shall be monitoring throughout the week the proceedings and sharing our findings and our observations in the relevant editions of the KhoodeelaarTV television channel. Now, this is the KhoodeelaarTV television channel, BabyAngelGeronimo editions. Now, we don't put special parts of updates about BabyAngelGeronimo himself, except to say that BabyAngelGeronimo is the world's finest, most neutral, most reliable, authentic, and compassionate and caring baby angel that could be found on the face of the earth. So, although he is not making any fuss, BabyAngelGeronimo is the leader of the campaign, the world-class campaign. And BabyAngelGeronimo will be filing with the next edition of the KhoodeelaarTV television channel, BabyAngelGeronimo editions, his unique blog, diary, or entry. So BabyAngelGeronimo is now going to be part of the contributors along with myself. As for the behavior of Rishi Sunak obviously has gone to Egypt, Sharm el-Sheikh, reluctantly. And as the political editor of the Daily Mirror has already pointed out during his appearance on the Sky News Press Preview edition, it shows that Rishi Sunak lacks the quality of judgment, or the judgment he's got. His judgment is flawed. That is what is being observed. And this particular observation made by the Daily Mirror political editor was about Rishi Sunak's behavior. His behavior in condemning Matt Hancock and staying silent, completely silent about Gavin Williamson. These are very serious items of evidence constituting undeniable ground, fact about Rishi Sunak's abilities making judgments. One is this misjudgment about supporting Gavin Williamson in the sense that he has not been publicly speaking this Gavin Williamson. But Sunak follows the advice of the Gavin Williamson's lobby, whereas he condemns Matt Hancock. And this is the contrast that has been made. And this shows that Rishi Sunak has got poor judgment. Now, we said during the appearance of Rishi Sunak on the BBC's television program, fronted by Joe Coburn in the run-up to the Brexit referendum in 2016, that Rishi Sunak was an artificial pun. So we shall be talking about Sunak in the context of the increasing numbers of people and kind of making the comment, very simple but very devastating, that Sunak's judgment is poor. Because Rishi Sunak, now there are three incidents that neatly illustrate that Rishi Sunak has got poor judgment. One of the very fact that he is in Sharm el-Sheikh is not something that he would have done himself. He was left with no option but to go there. Why? Because Sunak had said he was not going there. And he actually had stopped King Brian, from going there either. Now, those two things created legitimate headlines against him and gave the legitimate pretext to Ed Miliband to condemn Sunak. First of all, he told King Brian not to go there. And then this absolute liability of an individual, Theresa Coffey. Yuck. Theresa Coffey was then used as the balloon which said or spewed that Sunak wasn't going to the COP27 mainly because he considered Sunak was bounced into going to Sharm el-Sheikh. Surely. He shouldn't have been bounced to doing that. Then Sunak appointed Cruella Suella Ibila, back into the Home Office as the Home Secretary 6 days after she had admitted to have done wrong and broken security. Very serious. And then she resigned on that basis. So the fact that she had admitted did not show that her admission was spontaneous. It was a tactical dishonesty act she kind of put on. Because if she had denied or refused to admit liability, responsibility for the serious breaches, then she would have been asked to go. She would have been sacked. So she now, Sunak now has the biggest stranglehold on his neck about Suella Braverman. He is still carrying her dirty work and making it look like clean act. I mean, Sunak, item by item, Sunak is being proven to be lacking judgment. So, what is the verdict currently running on the news kind of outlets? See what they're saying about Sunak's judgment. So this is the one about Bloomberg. On the Bloomberg is saying that Sunak's judgment over Braverman questioned by ousted party chief. Home Secretary committed multiple breaches of rules. And it also says that she was sacked, that she was not actually, she had not been, she had not resigned. That is what Bloomberg is saying. What they're saying is that she was actually sacked by Liz Truss. Liz Truss sacked Braverman. And instead of keeping her away from his cabinet, Sunak brought her into the cabinet. And this is the heading on the Guardian piece about the Sunak. Bringing back Leaky Sue, Braverman, a bold move by Sunak or a reckless gamble? So this is by Mark Townsend and Toby Helm. To describe her reception as underwhelming, to describe her reception as underwhelming would be to downplay the despondency that spread throughout the Home Office when news broke that Suella Braverman was coming back. It was like that feeling you get as a football fan after a long VAR check that disallows a goal, said one official. 6 days earlier, it had been difficult for Home Office staff to hide their glee that she had been sacked. Six days earlier, it had been difficult for Home Office staff to hide their glee when Braverman resigned as Home Secretary. Now, this is a different phrase or word. The Metro is saying that she was sacked, and the Guardian is saying that she resigned for leaking sensitive government information to Tory MP via her personal email address. Relief was the overriding sentiment when she went, said one employee in the Home Office. In her place, Liz Truss had quickly appointed the altogether less outspoken figure of Grant Shapps, and calm seemed to have been restored for the time being. But things were moving at a scorching pace as the crisis at the top of the Tory party reached new levels of farce. When Truss quit on Thursday, 20th of October, after only 7 weeks in the job, having already lost a chancellor and a home secretary, another leadership contest was triggered. Tory MPs frantically tried to calculate where their own and their party's best interests now lay. Importantly, Braverman, seen as a key figure on the ardently pro-Brexit, anti-immigration, anti-woke right of their party. And so on. So this is the kind of leak that is accompanying Rishi Sunak's career as Prime Minister of the UK. He has not got the necessary votes among the Conservatives because people outside the Conservative Party would not waste the time. So Sunak, I think, is going to pay for it in a way that Leaky Sue cannot compensate, cannot kind of pay him back. The picture of Leaky Sue, published on the front page of the Daily Mail last week, or week before last, when paramedics were where do we begin the comparison with Leaky Sue? Because she's not Leaky Sue, because that is a light-hearted kind of phrase that has been invented contextually, tropically by the tabloid Daily Star in Fleet Street. Because to call the absolutely vulnerable, at risk migrants an invasion force, I mean, that shows that Sue Braverman is intellectually dysfunctional, cognitively dysfunctional, and she must be sacked as a matter of urgency immediately. But by his record, how is this? How can it be justified on any level that Rishi Sunak is allowing Braverman to continue in the fascist formalization of the Aspire Party? Anyone who reads the kind of statement, British newspapers, must automatically rate the newspapers as correct than anything else happens to be in support of Lucy Sunak. We shall be talking about Rishi Sunak, of course, in due course, because it is quite possible that something else will come up about Evila Cruella Suella Braverman, even before lunchtime on Tuesday. Lunchtime Tuesday, which is the 8th of November 2022. And this edition is coming to you, wherever you are, as the unique. We shall be bringing an end to this particular short edition at 2:17 GMT on Monday, 7th of November 2022.